Welcome to the Conservative Continuum. I am your host, Mick Meow. So let's chit-chat a little bit about what's going on out there. First of all, on April the 3rd, the OK GOP Action Team will be hosting an Oklahoma State Republican Party Chairman Forum. The venue is going to be at the Higher Plain Baptist Church. That's here in Oklahoma City, and it's going to be at 6 p.m. Both AJ Ferrati and Sean Roberts have agreed to attend. Then on April 17th, the OK GOP Action Team will be hosting an Oklahoma State Republican Party Vice Chairman Forum. The venue is going to be at the Sheraton Church. That's in Tulsa. Again, it's going to be at 6 p.m. And all of the candidates, which is Wayne Hill, Dr. Paula Price, Michael Stopp, and myself, have agreed to attend. Now, don't forget that April 4th is voting day. Lots of school board races going on, mayoral candidates. It's a really important, the county clerk race is going on. So you've got to get out, you've got to vote, you've got to do the right thing. So put your boots on the ground, get out there and vote. Now, please subscribe to me on patreon.com/MickMeow. The Conservative Continuum is also found on Rumble and Facebook. Today we were going to have Jake Lang on our show as a detained cat show. However, we were not able to get that connection to go through. We're not sure what's happening, but we are going to connect with him. But lucky us, we had Rick Grellner, and he is the publisher of the City Sentinel. So we're going to have a news reporter show going on today for you. We're going to talk about what they're doing here in Oklahoma to bring that journalism back to the conservatives. They're going for Oklahoma City and they're going national. You guys, this is great news. I'm super, super excited. And I'm glad that we had somebody who is here in Oklahoma who's talking to us about what's going on in journalism. So make sure that you grab your kitty treats and your milk, and let's get ready to engage. Well, it's time for the cattle wall, so let's get to it. So today we were going to have Jake Lang, Patriot prisoner, on our show, and we were unable to make that connection. But I want to bring you in our monologue what we were originally going to do. So in case you don't know, Jake Lang is a man from New York. He attended the J6 rally. He is an American. He is someone's loved one. He's a living soul created by God. And he was arrested after being at the rally on January 16, 2021. He has been in prison this whole entire time without a trial. Now, I hope and I pray that Jake is doing well, and we are going to work to make that connection back with him. But what I want you to see today is a segment from his second documentary that is called Freedom Isn't Free, January 6th, the first battle of the Second American Revolution. It was directed and edited by Jake's fellow January 6th defendant, James Brett. Now, the video does highlight that it was a peaceful protest that was happening, and it was inflamed by agitators. His book, Patriot Prisoner, is a must read. So what I'm hoping that you will do is that you will go to givesendgo.com/Patriot Prisoner book and order that today. It is a must read. Now, I want you all to welcome with me after this video our substitute guest, who is no substitute. He's wonderful. You're going to love it. His name is Rick Grellner, and he is the publisher of the City Sentinel. So, thank you very much. See you after the break.
As of today, we're going to announce a first-in-the-nation measure, a vaccine mandate.
Their whole purpose throughout history has been to teach a small number of people how to become adept at controlling everyone else.
We got attacked by China, and they flipped this election.
Joe Biden is destroying America. Empty shells left and right.
Washington is being turned into a fortress.
Vaccines will be available for children from 5 to 11.
Welcome!
You know, the mandates are one of the reasons you can't get anybody to work for you.
It's going to destroy the American economy.
15,000 fully armed members of the National Guard have been called out to face them.
Stop the steal.
The Biden regime wants to shut down more pipelines.
It's the 196th country on Earth. We're keeping track. It's called Chaz.
Our whole life is about choice. We live in a free country to choose on what we want to do and what we choose to do.
Get out of this property. Immediately get out.
So don't need anybody's permission.
What is a woman? Can you tell me that?
Did you say free fries when you get vaccinated?
Right now, you can't go out and buy an automatic weapon. You can't go out and buy a cannon. And for those brave right-wing Americans who say it's all about keeping America's independent and safe, if you want to fight against the country, you need an F-15. You need something a little more than a gun.
The price of liberty is well known. Just ask our founding fathers about the ultimate cost of American freedom. With tyranny on their doorstep, they answered the call to defend God's country like all real patriots do, by putting their lives on the line and rising to the occasion. 245 years later, America once again found herself battling against a takeover by an authoritarian regime, and yet again her patriots stood up to defend this great nation. January 6, 2021 was the first battle of the Second American Revolution. The primary weapon of this war was waged in prayer and peaceful protesting until the modern-day redcoat traitors unleashed a brutal assault on hundreds of thousands of unarmed American citizens, viciously killing 4 of our brothers and sisters and taking hostage over 950 prisoners of war, such as myself. My name is Jake Lang, and I have been a hostage of the Biden regime and the corrupt Department of Justice for over 715 days. 2 years ago, the Democrat Party operatives known as the FBI kidnapped me from my home in New York and have tortured me for years in solitary confinement, withholding me from sunlight and human contact to force me into taking a 108-month plea deal. Like many January 6 patriots, I refuse to bend or break to this tyranny because my faith in Christ will not allow it. The living God has given us these convictions we fought for on January 6th, and we will never succumb to coercion or compromise. There is no plea to tyranny, and when we say liberty or death, we mean it. Let us be a reminder to you, freedom isn't free.
But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're here at the obelisk. Never been more energy in Washington than today.
But we're taking America back, aren't we?
Let us know the peace of God once again. Let us stand for what is right, morally, spiritually.
Communism will not succeed in the United States.
Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death.
USA! USA! The big guy's about to come out. The man, the myth, the legend, President Trump. God bless you all. God bless Trump. Let's do this. It ain't over yet. We're a million strong. A couple million more on the way. America the Beautiful, right here.
These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Thomas Paine.
According to eyewitness testimony, Postal Service workers in Wisconsin were also instructed to illegally backdate approximately 100,000 ballots.
Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard
Americans are so blessed that this generation has not experienced hardship, true hardship. But as we go now, this is going to become Venezuela on steroids. We know how the story ends if nothing is done. Venezuela, when I lived there, was in the top 10 economies of the world. Not an easy place to be. Top 10 of the world. And in one generation, people in this country have to send toilet paper and diapers and essentials to Venezuela. That's how bad it is. And
you're concerned that this country might be headed toward that, aren't you?
Very concerned. It has all the trimmings to become that. I mean, look at it. Our media is censored. That happened in Venezuela. High inflation, high cost. That happened in Venezuela. Trying to destroy the family. That happened in Venezuela. I could go on and on. And this country needs to be taken down because there is a global agenda going on.
You read that correctly. A founding father's statue removed from New York City Hall after nearly 200 years.
We are not bystanders in this ongoing attack on democracy. There are far more Americans from every background and belief who reject the extreme MAGA ideology than those that accept it. And folks, it is within our power, it's in our hands, yours and mine, to stop the assault on American democracy. I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those moments that determine the shape of everything that's to come after. And now, America must choose to move forward or to move backwards, to build a future or obsess about the past, to be a nation of hope and unity and optimism, or a nation of fear, division, and of darkness. MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies.
So then, the question becomes, what is the solution to our current state of affairs? Quite simply, it's fearless patriotism. It's the zeal for God-given rights that our founding fathers had. They stopped at nothing until they were free. You have to decide what kind of country you want the United States of America to be. Then you have to commit to that idea, commit to being relentless in the pursuit of it. That commitment requires action every day in pursuit of freedom. Show up at your school boards, redress your government, legally in protest. You never comply with anything that is unconstitutional or diminishes your God-given rights. Finally, you have to unite with like-minded patriots. Never give in, never give up, never back down, always be free.
My grandparents are black, all 8 of my great-grandparents, all 16 of my great-greats. On my mother's side, my ancestors were enslaved in Alabama. On my father's side, we were enslaved in Texas. I am not oppressed. I'm not oppressed, and I'm not a victim. I go wherever I want, whenever I want. I am treated with kindness, dignity, and respect, literally from coast to coast. We are not victims of America. We are not victims of some unseen 190-year-old force that kind of floats around in the ether. Putting critical race theory into our classrooms is taking our nation in the wrong direction. Racism in America would by and large be dead today if it were not for certain people and institutions keeping it on life support. And sadly, very sadly, one of those institutions is the American education system.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bobby. I'm a sophomore here at Indercom. I go to school here. I am under all of your instruction. I was called last year when I started freshman year under the lockdown politically illiterate, and all of my beliefs politically illiterate under Geiger. A teacher I didn't even have. I didn't even know the guy. I was called politically illiterate for comparing his system and this entire system of the lockdown and all of that to socialism. I had a teacher before all of this, 8th grade, right before the lockdown happened, Mr. Fernandez. He escaped communist Cuba, moved to Russia, then that went communist, and it went to the Soviet state. Socialism takes your health care first. They own your body. Second, they take your education. They own your mind. This needs change. This needs change now.
You will find that we are here because of Cuomo and de Blasio trying to crush the little man who dare to speak up. Many people's families continue to be hurt by the tyranny, and my prayers are with you with them all.
Ending the mandates, and let's get back to normal. It's time. It's time that we go back to work. It's time that we go back to our normal lives.
Thousands of people gathered in Virginia for a pro-gun rally Monday. Demonstrators flooded the streets by the Capitol building. Many carried weapons and wore camouflage gear. But despite worries about the possibility of violent confrontations, the event was peaceful. Organizers say they were protesting new gun control legislation making its way through the state Senate.
22,000 gun rights supporters came out today, many armed to the teeth, some dressed in fatigues. Others had handguns on their hips.
I carry it with me every day.
And rifles draped across their chests.
You see people that want to stand up and keep their guns because it's our right to do that, defend ourselves in a time of danger.
So more individuals have started to show up, more armed individuals. I'm just going to show you here. Our great photog, Mark Ringo, is going to show you the crowd.
This is still the land of the free and home of the brave. History will reflect kindly on the valor of the January 6 Patriots. The sacrifice of our fallen J6 heroes, Ashley Babbitt, Roseanne Boylan, Kevin Greason, and Benjamin Phillips, is etched into the halls of liberty, and their memory will forever be a blessing. Let my voice crying out from a jail cell push you into faithful, God-honoring action. We must assemble and push back against the strongholds of darkness in this spiritual warfare for the soul of our nation. Those of us who count ourselves among the followers of Christ are being called to come out from this wicked system of oppression and separate completely from the evil of this world. There is a time in every man's life where he must make a great decision that will influence not just his future, but the lives of generations to come. That time is now. The time where the light shines out from the darkness. The time to declare independence from the tyrants who have yet again come against us. The full details of this plan have been laid out in my new autobiography on January 6th, called Patriot Prisoner, a groundbreaking work and manifesto on liberty written from my prison cell. Order now at patriotprisoner.com. Thank you for the love. I return it to you in Christ Jesus. May God bless America.
As you all well know, patriots assembled on January 6th at the United States Capitol to peacefully protest a stolen election. Approximately 1 million liberty-loving Americans stood in unity and exercised their constitutional right to redress their grievances. Historically, the protest took a violent turn when Capitol police officers started inciting and brutalizing an unarmed crowd, even killing 4 defenseless American citizens on the steps of our own Capitol. Now, over 900 January 6ers and their families have been persecuted by the Biden regime and the FBI, violently arrested and abused and tortured in prison. Some spending over 20 months locked away in gulag-like conditions, political prisons inside our very own United States. They're being held without bond, visitations, haircuts, religious services, access to evidence and attorneys, and in many cases, complete solitary confinement. This atrocity highlights the two-tier justice system that villainizes conservative patriots and rewards career criminals. That's why we started the J6 Legal Fund to help retain competent conservative attorneys for our newest national heroes. J6 Legal Fund was created by J6 political prisoner Jake Lang to ensure full transparency in directing 100% of funds to legal costs. Not a single penny is wasted. In the next upcoming months, hundreds of J6 patriots will be standing trial against the full force of the corrupt Department of Justice and biased DC jury pools. The need for strong legal representation is greater now more than ever. That's where you come in. The J6 families are truly grateful for your generous support. Let's bring our men home. Please donate today, whatever God puts on your heart. Go to j6legal.org to make your donation. Thank you, and God bless America.
Welcome to the Conservative Continuum. I am your host, Mick Meow. Today we have an incredible interview. We are here with Rick Grellner. He is the publisher of the City Sentinel paper, and we are going to talk to him about what they are doing here in Oklahoma for not only journalism locally, but nationally. Rick, it is wonderful to have you today.
Good to be here, Mick. Thanks.
I am so glad that we got to chit-chat and talk.
Thanks for having me on.
You bet. So, we've got the websites that are coming up here, but in case you all haven't seen it, this is the City Sentinel, and they send out over 8,000, is that right, publications in a month?
Yes, we print 8,000 newspapers a month, and we drop them around Oklahoma City, mainly the inner city, and that's our hard copy of the paper. And we have a website, thecitysentinel.com, city-sentinel.com, and on the website, you can see a lot of the local news, center right from an editorial standpoint, but then we have the Patriot Sentinel, which is our new national site, which we launched on 6th.
Woo!
That covers kind of the national news, and it takes into consideration what's going on from the east to west coast and everything that's happening, and we're really excited about that. Our numbers are screaming there, and we're breaking 6 to 8 stories a day, and
wow.
So we're happy about it. We've got a great team, and we're putting out a lot of content. And so our apps are ready, so you can download the apps on the App Store, and I think we've got a good shot to have an impact on the market here.
Well, let's back up a little bit because some people may not be familiar with the City Sentinel.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about when you guys started,
Correct.
where you were going, where you're heading, and then I'd love for you to kind of tell us about that vision. I'd love for us to talk about that.
Sure. Thanks, Meg.
You
Where
bet.
we started about 20 years ago, I was in a Rotary Club, and the Bricktown Rotary Club, and I got basically asked to be a partner in a newspaper, the third partner in a newspaper. At the time, you could make a small fortune in newspapers because everything was plummeting, right? And the old model was not working. And so I liked the product, so I invested some money in it, and one thing turned into another, and I kind of got burned on the situation, and so I got a little bit stubborn about it, and decided that I wanted to somehow figure out how to make it even. So I started chopping, and pretty soon we got down to no office. We got down to all we were putting out was paper, and everybody was contract labor, working from their apartments. And but we figured out how to make it break even. Well, that's not necessarily the best model to always be on the cutting edge of everything. But at some point, you got to break even, or you can't be a business.
Right.
So I made a small fortune there. But about 2008, it started earlier than that. About 2008, I decided that we probably needed to change the name to make it more of a, instead of just right in the middle of the city, something that could be branded in a broader market. And so I changed the name to the City Sentinel. It was formerly and I changed it to the City Sentinel. It was the Mid-City Advocate. And so from that point on, we had a conservative editor, and but we still covered some of the cultural issues that are in the heart of the cities, which some of those are center left too. So you've got to cover what's going on.
Absolutely.
And we were printing at the time we were mailing. We were a legal paper, and we were printing about 10,000 a week, and they were all going. And we were mailing a lot of them, and then that process, moved forward, and I was still trying to figure out how to break even. And we got it to where we were breaking even, but we were only mailing about 7,800 to 8,000, or printing about 7,800 to 8,000. About half were going in the racks, half were mailed. Then we decided that it was more efficient to put them out through the racks, so we've started focusing on the racks about 5 or 6 years ago. And so from that point on, that's where it was, and we decided, and we were behind the curve, that we needed a digital. We had a website, and it really wasn't that great. And it's real important in this day to have a interface that's attractive, that's effective, and that will bring people to you. And so we finally settled on the block system, which is the same system that has the Tulsa World.
Okay.
And so we put the block system in, and we are effective with that, and we now download. And so that's where we are, and we're going to focus on things that are going on in the metro.
So tell us a little, and I don't mean to cut you off.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about the app. What will that be? Will that be live media coverage? Will it be like the paper? Will they? How is that going to present?
The app you'll be able to download it from the App Store.
Mm-hmm.
You can get it from Google. You can get it from Apple, and it will be a print impression. But as part of that, there will be podcasts.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you can pull up whatever podcast that you want, and you can watch, this one, and we'll have ongoing. We have live interviews, and then we will move to a newsroom station, to where once a day you will have your updates on what's going on.
Yes.
So what we plan to do is to be able to cover the entire spectrum, okay, from a news standpoint, and then you can get that on your app on your phone. We will still continue to print, and I think we'll probably go to twice a month on the print and mirror, just a larger footprint, because the older demographic still wants to read a physical newspaper. But that's an advertisement. So people see that you really are a newspaper, so then they can go online, and it's all free of charge.
Okay.
And so they can get the news and see what's going on. We're excited about it. Now that's locally. Nationally, we're doing the same thing with the Patriot Sentinel.
Okay.
And so we think that, launch that January 6th. And we've got a couple podcast interviews now, but you'll see a lot more of that, and you'll also see a live newscast that will happen once a day. And so people can download that.
Yeah.
And they can see it right there on their phone.
And so they're going to be 2 separate apps, is what I'm hearing.
Actually, there'll be 3. There'll be one for Oklahoma City, one for Tulsa, and then one nationwide. So, and what we'll do is we'll couple the apps together, so you can get the City Sentinel and the Patriot Sentinel all on your phone and put them right next to each
Oh, how nice is
other.
that?
And then you'll be able to, to stories, but you'll have print also. So
Yes.
you don't have to be in a situation where you have to sit down an hour a day to watch, like you do on the cable news or whatever. If you really want to get what you can do it any time.
Wow.
So we're looking forward to it. We have a really good digital team, and really the opening in this whole thing is that everything is so woke that
Yes.
people look at it and they just shake their head.
Yes.
They can see the agenda, and we don't want to have that agenda.
No. And speaking of woke, I can hear the kitty in the background crying at me. He's a little woke himself. So we're going to take care of him really quickly. When we come back, I'd like you to kind of address that a little bit more.
Correct.
About the differences between you and what we will call the woke media.
Absolutely.
So don't go away. We're going to be right back.
Thank you, Mick.
Welcome back to the Conservative Continuum. I'd like to give a shout out to those of you who are sponsors, those of you who are paying in to get this kind of great content. And for those of you who wondered how you can support us, please go to patreon.com/McMeow. Become a sponsor today. We are here with Rick Grinnell, and he is the publisher of the City Sentinel, and they are really making a difference in journalism for Oklahoma, which is great because we are all about Oklahoma, but also nationally because I talk about it all the time. What happens nationally affects us locally. And when we last left off, before the kitty was crying, we were talking about the difference that and the comparison between what you all are doing and what we would call, and I refer to them this as well, the woke media. So can you make us a comparison between what you're doing and maybe what we're seeing right now where we're not getting a choice?
Absolutely. If you watch what's going on across the board on most all news stations, you've got one or two that basically you can tell that they're on the right.
Sure.
Most of them are all on the left, and they're woke. And so what's happened is a lot of the larger media outlets, and we have them here, caught up by out-of-state interest. And so those out-of-state interests have, a different agenda. And so if you grew up, when I lived on a farm, grew up, we would get the Sunday Oklahoma delivered to us every Sunday. And we could get it in the mail every day if we ordered it. So, and you had, what was locally owned newspaper. Now, it was obviously very conservative, and everybody knew that. But that's what you had because it was locally owned, and that was their positions. Well, now it's all been nationalized. And a lot of these newspapers are now owned by out-of-state interest. So they have a different agenda than what a local owner would have. So that's why you're seeing a lot of the wokeness come in, because these folks are owned by corporations, or we're a pretty conservative state, but I would say beyond conservative, we're individualists. So libertarian type state, and that just doesn't mix with what you get in some of these liberal woke. It's been interesting to see, but I think there's a big appetite right now. They really want just the news, they want just the facts, they don't want an agenda, and they want they want to hear what the just the facts, man.
Right.
And and they don't want it told with a slant. So and so we're going to try to focus on that and coming from where the readers are. Yeah. And so that they're a little more independent down here, and so we want them to be able to view the facts through what they were taught, historically. So that's where we're headed.
So let me ask you this, because that brings up a really good point. I love the fact that you are doing things from what the readers want. How are you going to bring that? Like in your articles, if I wanted, and I'm just making an example here, what if I wrote an article? Would I be able to bring that to you, or do I need to go to somebody? Or let's say, and nobody say anything, I'm just making an example. What if I wanted to do a show on your app? How does that work? Those of us who are just out there.
Get a hold of our editor and coordinate. Okay. Our editor coordinates all of it.
So it's anybody.
We have folks, anybody that wants to write.
I love that.
They're open, and if it works, we've got a platform. So what we're trying to do is have a platform, and get it to people, because we can do that efficiently now, where you couldn't before. Live streaming is really changing the dynamic.
Yes, it is. That is the one thing and I'm glad you brought that up, because that is a wonderful segue. What about those people who are out there who are you see it all the time now. They're out there and they're live streaming. They're like peeps on the street, I was in San Antonio, and there was a hospital homicide where all these people whose loved ones died from getting remdesivir in the hospital. And there were so many phones that were going, people were live streaming, people were doing all kinds of stuff. How does that work into your platform?
Well, we were going to have a interface for that. We will have a portal. So we think it's a new dynamic, and got to have some controls on it to make it effective and reality based and truthful. But at the end of the day, we think it's a huge change, because what you're seeing in the marketplace is that the big tech companies and the social media companies up till now have basically controlled everything from mainstream. Some of the older ones that were out there first that are still kind of trying to shadow box and shadow ban, push them. But the new medium is creating its own ecosystem. And so that is going to give a huge opportunity for innovation. And so we think that, that's the end.
I love that. That is fascinating. So, for those of us who are like me, brains soaked with kitty treats and milk, is there different segment? It sounds like an all over platform. You've got print media, you've got news media, you've got live streaming channels, you've got all different things wrapped up in one app. Am I
That's correct.
misimagining?
That's what we're going for, is a way to get what they need right there in one spot. Shift around all over. And it comes from the position they've always viewed things as. Haven't gotten for some.
Yeah, that is so true. I am so grateful to hear about this, but I do want to kind of shift into the next question that I have about the shadow banning and the censorship, and how do you have controls on that, as far as truth.
Sure.
But before we go on to that, I hear the kitty. He's in the background. He's making all kinds of motions. We're going to go. We're going to take care of him, give him some treats, give him some milk, and we're going to be back with Rick Grellner. Please don't go away. Welcome back to the Conservative Continuum. We are here with Rick Grellner, and this is a fascinating conversation. So we were just kind of touching on this before, and what I had said to you in the break was that I was a nurse for 28 years, and I saw hospital corruption. I saw things that were going on. People were being shut down. Loved ones weren't allowed to be in the hospital. Everybody had to wear a mask, and if you didn't get the shot, you were a crazy conspiracy theory lunatic. So I left nursing. I still have my nursing license, but I left nursing because I came to OTU Media because they have that platform where you can stand up and speak out and get involved. And it sounds like you're bringing that maybe on a larger level. I love that. I wanted to say that, but I want to ask you, because you start to see where you get into these other platforms and you're censored, you're shut down. You have a little note, we wanted to add this to give you more truth or give you more factual information. So what would you do on your platform? I'm going to use myself as an example again. I speak about the Marxist agenda invading our churches, and how do you work with that, or do you ban that? What do you do for that?
That's a great question. First of all, you have to back up and see where we are. First of all, in the news historically, it's always been about brand name. Okay, so the brand names would be able to drive agenda because they had all the eyeballs. But what you've seen is the brand names have basically devalued them. So that leaves a huge opening for somebody to create a brand, right?
Yeah.
In an efficient manner without all the huge, you got to have investment, believe me. Without the public funds that raise billions of dollars, as the mainstream media has, you can create a brand, drive that brand technological way with social media, with Twitter, now that it's open, Truth Social, with Rumble, and yes, you may have a Facebook account because that's a different market, but you have to be very careful on Facebook.
Yes.
And so, but you do want, because those people are all those people's personal friends, so you want them sharing your stuff. So you got to be very careful to avoid the social media that's going to be a problem. Basically, you just avoid them. Okay? And so you focus here, and then and how you expand that is that you have, there's you got a political spectrum. You got your liberals, you got your conservatives, and then you got a whole big group of people in the middle. And you try to get to as many of all of them as you can, but you have to go to them directly. You go to them through their emails, since we're free, or you go to them through their text messages, as long as it's all done legally and everything's proper. And so you can get there directly, and you can drive your brand, because the other guys have so devalued their brand. That's how you do it. You basically avoid the places that are going to shadow ban you.
Yeah.
And you focus on the ones that aren't.
Yes.
That's how you repopulate your.
What about and I'm just kind of probing for information here, because I love this idea and I think it's so necessary, and I'm grateful that we're going to have something here in Oklahoma. I mean, think about that,
Correct.
we need that here, but we need it in the state of Oklahoma. So if we need it here, what about the rest of the nation?
Absolutely. It's duplicative in every state. Yeah. So once we finish this, we will move to.
I love that. And so let me ask you this, and then I'd love for you to tell us about your national thought there. What I was wondering is, what about like YouTube? You can't go on YouTube and say the word groomer.
Correct.
I don't know how many YouTube videos I have had taken down because I used the word Marxist.
Correct.
So what about on your site? Is there no, you can't use these terms? No, you can say, as
you can
long
say
as
whatever,
it's the truth.
And we just don't repost it on Twitter. Rumble. You have to create your own ecosystem. If you don't have your own ecosystem, then you cannot reject, because they will have to understand that. If you go on the site, it's free speech.
Yeah.
Say what you can't defame people, but you can say what you want within. We all know what free speech is.
Exactly. Yeah. Raise your hand if you don't, because
exactly.
We'd like to educate you. Okay, so I want to move on to that, because
it's the right to offend.
Yes, and truth is not hate speech. I have people tell me all the time. They come on the comments, and they put in there if I say something that offends them, because things are so emotional right now.
Sure.
I'm a fascist, or
Sure.
I'm a racist, and I'm like, why is hate speech offensive? It never used to be that way. I'm not hurting you. I'm just giving you the truth, and that's what we want. We have the right to say the truth, and we have the right to get the truth out.
That's the First Amendment.
Right? Can I fist bump you on that? So you were talking about a national plan. So what does that look like?
Well, that looks like replicating what we're doing in Oklahoma and other states. Is you got to put the local together with the national stuff. You got to do it in a way that people have all through their cell phones and desktops, but 98% of it's. So if they've got their earplugs in, they can listen, or they can. It's all, it's all.
So tell us again what those apps are, and they're out there now.
Yes, PatriotSentinel.com.
Okay.
And then City Sentinel. That's it.
Great.
And you could go on the websites too and see that, but the apps will be out there, and we haven't rolled them out yet, but they're out.
And you can just go to your regular app store on your iPhone,
Correct.
the app store, Android,
Google.
Wow, that's wonderful. I am so glad to hear that. I can't help myself. The kitty's crying, so we're going to come back and we're going to ask some more questions because I'm just nosy that way. So
Thank you. Thanks, Mick.
You bet. Be back in a minute. Welcome back to the Conservative Continuum. I am your host, Mick Meow. Welcome to Rick Grinnell, who is with the City Sentinel. And also thank you to our sponsors. If you have thought about supporting us so that we can bring you this great information, I encourage you to go to patreon.com/Mick Meow today. Become a sponsor. We're grateful for everybody who does. So I'm going to give you the last word. I want you to tell us anything that you might have left out, anything that's important, things that we need to know, things that we need to watch out for, but I can't help myself. Have you started nationally, or is this just Oklahoma?
No, we started our national site, PatriotSentinel.com, on January 6th. So we're getting a lot of national traffic on that site. And so that's mainly national news. And, there'll be a state-specific story in there, but it has a broader national and so and those numbers just continue to build, and really proud of the team that's done that. And so we're going to use that as the national site, and then we're going to replicate the Oklahoma experience here with Tulsa and Oklahoma City and other states. So we look to build as we go forward.
Wonderful. What kind of feedback have you been getting?
It's a lot of positive feedback. I mean, you can tell by the numbers that there's a big appetite out there right now for having, news that comes historically the way people got it. That's all we're doing here is going back to the way it was originally done. And if you vet the stories and do them, in a journalistic fashion, and make sure you separate editorial from opinion, from hard news, and do it the way it was always supposed to be done, then people appreciate that. They are sick and tired of getting, a couple facts along with somebody's opinion over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. I want to give you the last word. I want you to tell us anything that we might have missed, something that's important, something that's necessary for those people in Oklahoma who go, wow, you know what? And you know, anything that you need to hit home on.
Well, if you go on our site and pull down our app on your phone, you will be able to be updated and get the news that you hadn't got for a long time. And so if you want an experience that you haven't had for some time, and looking for the facts and things that we think are relevant, and we're not the only ones think are relevant, a lot of people think are relevant or they wouldn't be on there, then pull down both of those sites, and the Tulsa site will be up in the next week or two, and along with Patriot Sentinel, and you will be able to start getting some news, and in a different, from a different place than you have before, but I think it'll be refreshing.
Oh, yeah.
We're very excited.
I'm excited too. In fact, I'm getting ready to go on my phone once we're done so I can download them because I'd love to see what it looks like. You know, I've read the City Sentinel. I remember when all of the American First candidates were going through.
Yes.
And I would look in there and it was incredible to be able to go, okay, all right, we've got this candidate, and there were multiple side by sides.
Correct.
And I really like that because you got the overall, you got
Absolutely.
the good, you got the bad,
Absolutely.
you've got all of it mixed in there, and that's what people want. You know, we can make our own decisions, bringing truth back to journalism. I love
Absolutely.
it.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mick.
You bet. You bet. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You're going to have to come back because we are going to have to talk more about this.
We will.
All right.
Thank
Good
you.
deal.
All right.
All right. And thank you guys out there. Now, somebody let the cat out. Thank you for curling up with us today. I am so grateful that you watched my program, and I am truly blessed by all of you. Thank you to my guest, Rick Grellner, who subbed in from the City Sentinel. Great guy, fabulous apps. You guys, I am downloading. Now, the City Sentinel app will come out soon, but the one that is the Patriot Sentinel is out, and it is fabulous. Y'all are going to love it. So make sure you go and you download them. As far as my friend Jake Lang, his book, The Patriot Prisoner, is a must-read. You've got to go and visit givesendgo.com/Patriot Prisoner book in order to order your copy today. Also, you want to go to j6truth.org to view the documentaries that we showed as clips today. That's where they are available. I want to make sure that you all are well informed, so we are so grateful that we can bring you all of this wonderful information. And once again, Rick Grellner, City Sentinel, make sure you go and download those apps. They're phenomenal. I've already got mine. Well, at least the Patriot one. The City Sentinel will come out soon. Now, please make sure that you subscribe to the Conservative Continuum on patreon.com/McMeow. You can also follow us on Rumble and Facebook. The Conservative Continuum with McMeow is on True Social, Telegram, Substack, and Getter. I look forward to seeing you all next week when we will talk with Deborah Campbell about sex and the transgender education that's being taught in our public schools. Why? So, say it with me. I want you to stand up, speak out, get involved, and be blessed always, my friends.